What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another MSI Claw 8 video here, this time taking a look at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, the good news for this game is it's running great on all the handhelds from the Legion Go, Ally X, Steam Deck, and here on the Claw. And there's plenty of room to adjust the settings how you want to play between low, medium, 800p, 1200p, and all of that. So let's go ahead and get into it here, and we'll take a look at the settings we have available in this game. So 1200p and 800p is what we'll look at here. Full screen. We have low, medium, high, ultra in this game. We're going to focus on low and medium. And we also have the ability to use FSR upscaling, which we'll be taking a look at as well. I have that turned off at the moment. Motion blur is also off, as is depth of field here. And then there's another menu here. You can go in and tweak some settings. So something between low and medium might actually be the best option. But for ease, I'm going to use the presets of low and medium here. So as we get into it here anyway, 1200p native on low at 17 watts wouldn't stay very playable depending on where you're at and what you're doing. But anyways, I just want to go through a few different settings so you get an idea of where this is at and what the performance is like and kind of what to expect if you're playing on the MSI Claw or maybe a similar chip here. But into the settings, graphic settings here, we're going to switch this over to medium, staying at the 1200p, leaving FSR off, and we're still at that 17 watts, which I definitely recommend 30 watts for this game, and we're mostly just going to do that. But I just started off at 17 anyway. Some games will run at 17, but a lot won't, and I'd love to see 22 or 25 as an option. But yeah, switching to medium there at 17 watts definitely is going to work out. We're going to use FSR though, because 1200p would be a lot to ask of this one here on the Claw for this title. So FSR quality right now, that would take us up to about 35, 36. So about a 15 FPS increase if we just introduce FSR there. So obviously really GPU bound for that one. And balanced is kind of like where I like to be for this one. It adds a couple of more FPS, takes up to about 39 from that one. So another 4 FPS, a little more overhead for that medium. Now, as I said, 30 watts is kind of the better way to go here on the Claw, and you may not see a big difference off the bat because it does scale. 30 is kind of the cap, but it likes about 22 when you're sitting still. But certain areas of the game or certain settings, it's definitely going to go up to that 30. If we come down to low here, the game doesn't look near as good. You get a lot of flickering and issues that happen with shadows and things like that, but it will give you more performance. That is the reward. That is the trade-off between low and medium. It's pretty big, 15 to 20 FPS difference depending on where you're at. So we'll pop this back over to medium here, leaving FSR alone. And there we go. We'll come back to about our 38, 39 here. All right, so all in all, that's working out pretty well, but of course there's some more stuff we could do here. Let's switch over to 800p. We'll leave it at medium. We'll leave FSR on balanced, and we'll hit confirm here, and we'll see where we go from that one. And that will take us up again to about 52, 53. So a similar reward. It's similar as running low on that 1200p, but you have medium here at 800p, giving you that same frame rate, running about the same wattage from the device. Now, if we go in here and switch this to low, of course, it's not going to look as good, but again, the payoff is performance. And in this case, when we're running 800p, it's almost 30 FPS, 28 FPS performance increase. So plenty of overhead. If we run into areas that really suffer in performance later, there's plenty of room here to adjust settings for the game to run how we want here. Now back to that 1200p, FSR balanced on medium here. I think this is where the game looks the best on the Claw. Anything over 30 FPS steady is good. It's not a fast-paced game. It doesn't really bother me on here. And it's going to vary, but the nice thing with this game is it has clean frame times, decent frame pacing. There's no spikes or stutters or anything very often that I run into in the game. That's true for the Claw and for all the other handhelds I've been testing on, which is really nice to see. No matter what frame rate I'm at, I tend to get a really nice smooth experience without a bunch of stutters or issues or skips in the gameplay. So that's always good. Some of the social areas or first villages and towns actually run surprisingly well. They're not as full of vegetation and all that, so I think that's why we get a nicer, higher FPS in these areas. Even though we might get more NPCs, the wattage just kind of goes up and the CPU performance goes up and everything still performs fine here on the Claw for these areas. But again, we also have 800p as an option. So we'll come over here and sit still for a second. We're going to be around 48, 50 FPS here on the 1200. Let's go into settings. We'll switch this back to the 800p medium with FSR balanced. Granted, you could run native 800 in here. You could run it quality. You get away with all of that also. But anyways, we switch that up and we'll go up into the 70s here in this area. Like I said, a little easier to run in some of these first villages and stuff versus out where there's more vegetation or you're battle or whatever the case may be. But yeah, here in this area where we had 38 or 39 FPS at the 1200p, we're around in the 50s, mid to upper 50s. So 15 to 20 FPS higher here at 800p, which is what we saw earlier. So again, plenty of headroom, plenty of space here to adjust the game to either play the way that you want it to, or again, if we get later down the road, I'm only about 5 hours in. If we get farther in and we have bigger cities or areas that run rougher and we're at higher settings, we'll be able to adjust that as well. And I'm sure they'll bring some patches and everything, but again, the game's already really well optimized and running well on all kinds of hardware. So anyways, I think that gives you guys an idea of how Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is running here on the MSI Claw. It's running great, plenty of options for whatever settings you want. And if you're running one of the other handhelds, it's running great there too. And I have some videos coming out for those. I already have the Steam Deck up. So anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video as always. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one.